And we're live.
Hey.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to all of you out there, wherever you are. This is the Boss Chronicles with Agape and Akin, featuring the success stories of
Yes.
different business owners using our system to change their lives.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us for another episode. And we have an amazing guest with us today. We call her Nina, but her
Traditional
traditional
name.
name is Nen.
Yeah. And she's gonna tell us the meaning of name
Nen.
if you don't know.
Hey, you have come now.
So thank you, Nina, for coming to our show today. We really appreciate you. Nina is like one of the founding members of our community. She's been there forever, and she's like I would say, the roadmap for a lot of us Africans who came into the
And
business after her.
Caribbeans.
So she's like our role model. She's our mentor. She's our big sis. We really appreciate you for coming here. We know you lead a big team and you're always busy. So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule
My
To
uh,
pleasure.
join
to
us
join us
here.
here. So
It's
Thank
my
you.
pleasure.
yeah, so we'll turn it over to you. Introduce yourself to our guests and just share your journey with us. How did you come about this online business and why did you even think to start a business in the first place?
Okay, so greetings to everybody wherever it is you are tuning from. It is really an honor to be here, Agape and Aki. You are both wonderful people and contribute so much to our community. So, a little bit about me. Yes, I am a mother of three beautiful, amazing children, married to one man called
Mm,
Pastor Kingsley. And we are here in Edmonton, Alberta. We migrated to Canada about 13, 13 to 15 years ago. And when we came here in search of greener pastures, just like every other person. And I came here to do my master's degree. I came here on a scholarship, but when we did come here, things were not as expected. I came
mhm,
here with child and without having family around, things were not what we wanted. I struggled as a student. First
mm,
of all, I graduated looking for a job and it was not
Mm.
forthcoming. And with all the, the struggles that we go in here in diaspora where they say get the Canadian experience. Now I
mhm,
got the Canadian experience and still, landing that job of my dreams was
mm,
still, not within reach.
mm,
So, what happened was that prior to me graduating, I always loved business.
mm,
Even back at home, I'm originally from Nigeria, which you all know the name Nena means I'm Igbo. So
mm,
I came here, believing that, after that, my with my experience, and this was not just my my first master's degree, it was my second master's degree. So I
Woo!
was hoping that, it was just going to be a quick thing getting the job because I already had a master's degree. This was pretty much like a second one, but it
mm,
didn't happen.
Mm.
And coming from a business background, which most Igbos are very entrepreneurial, I
mhm,
already had that experience back home, like wanting to own a business.
mm.
But guess what? I looked into starting a business here in Canada and I found out that, my dear, this is not like my dear country, Nigeria, where you just pack up anyhow, you build
Yeah.
it, start launching your business just like
Mhm,
that. I needed to have the right permits, I needed to
mm,
have licenses
mm,
done for different things. And I figured that, you know what, this was too much for me because it's not something that we are used to back home.
mm,
And that was where the dream just died right there. And I said, let me do what other people were doing, which is getting that job of my dreams and then working like every normal person would do. And that was the way we lived, here in Canada. But before we know it, we were into debt so much so
mm,
that we were drowning. Like when I mean drowning, I mean drowning. And
mm,
we were looking for a way out. And
mm,
that way out was where, it came true for me when I was on mat leave.
mm,
And I was on mat leave with my last boy.
mm,
And that also was the time when we had tragedy hit us so bad. When I mean so bad, I mean like it hit so bad that They say when it rains, it pours. So
Mm.
it really hit us so bad that we lost four family members in the space of what, 6, 8 months. And
Wow.
these were not just, you know, distant relations. They were all close family members, like my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my sister, and my uncle. So it was really, really touching. And that was when we now figured out that, you know what, we needed funds for funeral. We couldn't even send money home because we were literally drowning in debt. I had 3 kids on maternity with the third one.
Mm.
I was thinking about going back to work early because now with my pay slashed into two, there was no way we were making ends meet. My
Mhm.
husband decided to go do some other jobs, so he took on 2 other jobs at the
Wow.
time just to make ends meet. And you know what? We people in diaspora, we know that when we come here, we are always trying to shame face. So
Yeah.
we needed to send money for funeral, but how could we tell them that, you know what, life wasn't as balanced as they think is balanced though. You know,
Wow.
it was really hard for us to come out to the open to say, hey, hey, money no deal, you know, that kind of thing. So
Mhm.
we now decided that my husband had to go do something else. He now looked for other jobs to do on the side. And that made me not even see him in a day.
Wow.
Sometimes it's more like the kids only see him on a Sunday because that is the only day that he has chosen not to work. So the
Mm.
kids are like, why is it only on Sunday we see daddy? And
Mhm.
I began to think and say, no, this is not the life I want.
Mm.
So one day, just sitting on my bed, wondering how I can help this man because I figured that, you know, with the way he's going, his health is also at risk. You know,
Mm.
how he was working, he was hardly getting enough sleep, and I knew that his health is at risk. But he didn't want me to do anything because I was with child. Think
Mm.
about it. If I go
Mm.
get a job, we have to put the kids somewhere in the
Yeah.
childcare, and that means you're paying for childcare. It's not free. And
Yeah.
we didn't have family here that would say, okay, babysit for us. Or my job wasn't one of nurses where, I could take a night shift. No, I worked in the corporate world as an environmental scientist. So my job was a day job, and his job also, he works as a planner, is a day job. So it's not a question of night shift or morning shift. We couldn't
Mm.
switch. It is either we found a way to pay people to take care of our kids, or we stay with them at home. And
Mhm.
that was what was the case with me, because I decided, you know what, I had to stay home, or else we would be in a worse scenario than we are currently in. So
Yeah.
Wow.
long story short was that I saw this opportunity online, and I saw someone who was in BC
Mm.
talking about owning a business, how they quit their job.
Mm.
And I'm like, in this country, Canada, that 5 years. And at the time, I was still struggling.
Mm.
Like I don't think it's possible quitting job here. It's like these people have engineered this system so
Mm.
much so that it is what it is. So
Yep.
I was so curious. And
Mm.
believe you me, I've done so many things. So
Mm.
I had my own fair share of scam. So when I
Mm.
saw this one, I pretty much literally said, yeah, these people won't catch me this time around. I'm, I'm going to show them I'll be on more Niger. I will look this thing through and thorough. So
Mm.
I went for the webinar, and I looked into this opportunity
Mm.
very well. So much so that I took I watched this webinar not once. I watched
Mm.
it over and over again. And even
Mm.
when I watched it over and over again, I was like, okay, what is the
Mm.
next step? But I couldn't get past skepticism. And
Mm.
guess what? I felt like that was what was pulling me back all this while in everything that I did. It's being
Mm.
skeptical. But for this singular time, I said, what is it? What do I stand to lose? I'm pretty much drowning anyways. So I
Mm.
have nothing to lose. I
Mm.
pretty much must try to see if I can change my life. And
Mm.
guess what? I am so glad I found this opportunity, because my husband literally did the math, and he said,
Mm.
if you are looking to play with the big dogs,
Mm.
Mm.
have to play big. But
Mm.
if
Yeah.
you want to play with little puppies,
Mm.
go right ahead and play with little puppies. And I was done playing with puppies. Trust me,
Mm.
I wanted to play with the big dogs. And
Wow.
Wow.
that
And
was how I said, you know what, I'm going full right in. I
Mm.
went in, I checked this out. I did my due diligence. I
Mm.
had the naysayers tell me it's one of those things again.
Mhm.
And I said, you know what? The worst thing is not trying. I
Yes.
would try. And
Mm.
if I try, I would succeed. And
Mm.
Amen.
I know I'm
Amen.
going to share so many other things, but
Yeah.
literally, that is what brought me to this tragedy. Tragedy
Mhm.
brought this business my way. And
Wow.
Mm.
my why now became my family. My why now became the fact that I didn't want to be in the same position that I was. Good
Mm.
jobs, but not enough. Still
Fine. Yeah.
drowning in debt
Yeah.
Yeah.
with
Wow.
degrees and education, still drowning in
Mm.
debt. And I didn't want to be where I was. And I want to tell you that, yes, I'm not where I used to be. I'm
Woohoo!
in place. Hey,
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Amen to that. Wow.
yes, say it again, Aki.
Yeah, I know. I know you have compressed
Mm.
all of that in under few minutes.
Mhm.
Because if we have to expand it, we might spend the next 24 hours. Because many of us out there feel, oh, some people are special. We are
Mm.
not special, we are not different. We are
Mm.
just like you know.
Yeah.
And the only difference is we took action, and we
Mhm.
asked questions.
Yeah.
So now tell us, from that time up until now, what has been your success story? If you can mention maybe two or three, the
Mhm.
biggest ones.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I right now, in fact, first things first, I would say I own a not-for-profit with me and
Woohoo!
some other people, which I'm able to empower other people to benefit, and change their lives. And
Mm.
I've also had investments back home, gotten landed properties back home, which I wouldn't have had. I've
Mm,
been also able to go on multiple vacations with family.
Woohoo!
I I've been able to give back to my church in so
Mhm.
many ways
Mm.
because ministry is something that is a part of us,
Yeah.
and I've blessed other families in ways that I wouldn't have been able to do if I
Mm.
just had my job. It's
Yeah.
for me, it's just the people that I've been able to help
mm.
pretty
Yes.
much.
Wow,
Wow.
that's
Mm.
amazing. And thank you so much for sharing that, because like Akin said, many people just, especially when we see this opportunity in the beginning, it feels too good to be true. And then skepticism comes in.
And overtakes.
And over now, the thing about skepticism is that's what keeps us safe, right? So it is good to be skeptical. It's not like, oh, you mustn't be, it's good to be skeptical because it keeps you safe. But then
Yeah.
And it gets you
it
curious.
gets you curious, but then what you do with it. So I love the fact that you took us through that journey of, look, I found out or I realized that this was what was holding me back.
Mm.
So I think that to wrap it up, what would you encourage people out there? Because a lot of people are skeptical. Yes, they've been burned. Yes, they've been scammed. They've been
We
all of
all
these
have
things.
been.
We all have been. Because Aki and I, we've been doing business for 15 years before we started this one 4 years ago, right? So almost 20 years doing business. That tells you that we've definitely gone through our own share of being scammed, being burned, being all of that, lost so much money. But then we kept trying because we know that there's more out there than what we know to be doing, right? Which was just like you, Nina, came into Canada. We've been here for 10 years. We found ourselves drowning in a lot of debt because North America and even the diaspora in general is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way you can say I'm trying to be humble, I'm frugal. No matter how frugal you are, it is still very expensive, right? So what would you say to people out there who, they've been burned in the past, they've been hurt, they've been broken, battered, but they really know that they are not living their full potential? What would be that little encouragement that you can use to push them a little forward to take action?
Honestly, one thing I would tell you is to get past your skepticism.
Mm,
If you only can not dwell on the past, the past is the past for a reason. That is
mm,
why it is called the past.
mm,
Look to the future. Think about what you stand to
Mm.
change. And
mm,
if there is anything that encouraged me, it is the fact that I took myself out of the equation. Take yourself out of the equation. Whatever you do is never for you alone. It is
mm.
for your family, for other
Yeah.
people to benefit from. And that is the best thing that I would tell you that I did to remove every form of skepticism, anything that was pulling me back. I now thought about my family. I thought about my kids. I thought about my husband. I thought about other people that would benefit from this. So it is not always about you. Take yourself out of the equation and think about the number of people that you would help to better their life. That even as much as you're doing it for yourself, but you're doing it for a whole lot of people. So don't look at the past. Don't look at yourself, the skepticism that is holding you back. Just think about other people for once.
Wow,
Wow.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I quickly remembered one thing I learned from a great mentor. He says, the past, that was an event that occurred or that
Exactly.
happened, and there must have been an experience or a lesson from that. So how do you focus on the future? And that connects to what you said. Remove yourself from the
From the
past and
equation, yeah.
think about your family, the next generation, and other people that you can help in the world.
Wow.
Wow.
Amazing. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Liz, for coming on and for sharing your journey and for encouraging us today. So you guys, let us know where you're tuning in from. If you're watching the live, say live. And if you're watching the replay, put in replay in the comment, and we'll all go to our pages and respond to your amazing comments. Thank you so much for your support. We have two more. Oh, actually, no, we've got three more.
3 more guests to
I'm
go.
always living in the future. We have three more. We have 3 more days and 3 more guests to showcase on this episode of the Boss Chronicles. And we wish you all an amazing rest of your week, a great Christmas holiday, and we'll see
Yes.
you guys tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
All
Bye.
right. Merry Christmas.
Bye.